To order.
We got their attention though.
Someone make a motion to approve the previous minutes.
All right, if we can get somebody to make a motion for the approval of the previous minutes.
So moved. Sorry, we should have done the agenda, but that's okay.
Do we have?
Second?
I wasn't here, so technically.
All right, we're going to take an alibi here and approve the agenda first. You want a motion to approve the agenda?
All right, let's have a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a quorum for the minutes or no?
That's a question. Do we have a quorum? Do we have a quorum? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 4.
Okay, now we'll have a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I move.
2 different sets. So we want to have it April 3rd and May 22nd. You need to get approval of that.
Okay, we'll start with the April 3rd minutes. If we can get,
I make a motion to approve the April 3rd minutes.
all right, and now a motion for the May 22nd minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of May. All those in favor?
All those in favor? Okay.
Motion passes.
All right.
And then you move to introductions.
All right, now we can go around and do our introductions. Sally Dennis, District 7.
Mark Feinberg, District 9.
I'm Megan Fitzpatrick. I'm representing District 8, but I live in Hilton Head.
Brian Durrance, City of Beaufort, Public Works, District 1.
Brad Woods, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island Liaison.
Sally McLeod, Solid Waste Recycling.
Victoria Hoffman, Beaufort County Solid Waste and Recycling.
Chloe McGuigan, Solid Waste and Recycling.
Jesus Rodriguez, Solid Waste and Recycling.
Sergeant Matthew Riccobetti, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office.
Bradley Harriet, Beaufort County Public Works.
Vincent Burger, Broadcast Services Department.
David Bartholomew, County Council, District 2.
Sandra Deco.
And Mr. Sauter.
All right. I think we,
At this time, since there's nobody from the public, we'll dispense with public comments.
okay, at this time, do we have anybody for public comment?
Just move on.
Okay. And then, so now we'll go on to our solid waste and recycling reports.
There you go.
Hold on.
All right. So you should have received the update in your packet. I won't go through the newsletter that we drafted, just a quick summary of everything that took place in FY25. I do want to note the budget summary on the first page. There is an asterisk for the FY25 total solid waste and recycling cost. That is not going to be a sum total of the disposal, hauling, and recycling costs. There are many different accounts in the solid waste budget. And there are many different line items that encompass the solid waste budget and cost. So you are seeing a big picture view of our largest costs, which is disposal, hauling, and recycling. But the other costs are operations of the convenience centers. Another large cost are professional services, and that encompasses our services from Defusky Island to all the waste to be hauled, our electronic recycling vendor, and then other like HHW, oil, that kinds of things. So those per South Carolina DES fall under professional services and aren't categorized into those disposal, hauling, or recycling categories. So also, this is a budget summary. We capped it at July 14th to be able to get it to you all by the due date. So we still are closing out fiscal year 25. This is not yet our final fiscal year costs for then. And then you can see that we did go over our percentage used in disposal and hauling. And that was because when we originally asked for the funding in FY25, we didn't receive all that we requested. So that is where you're seeing that overage in the percentage used of each of those categories. So we had to move funds from other accounts to compensate for that, just as an FYI. But this year, I kind of am skipping ahead a little bit, so I'll wait to talk about FY26. But just some of the stuff to review in FY25, we did sign a new contract with Waste Management for the Hickory Hill MSW disposal. They had the previous contract. They're the only landfill for MSW, but we did sign a new contract with them. We also signed our new contract with I2 for our recycling vendor. We are really satisfied with those services, a lot of transparency, and now we're actually seeing revenue checks from our recycling. We still are in the red with our recycling costs, but it is a lot more transparent. We're able to see each commodity that I2 is receiving and then what they're selling that for in the rebate, and then he even breaks down the percentage of what they receive and what we receive. Other big news in fiscal year 25 is the compost pilot program. Just a recap, we received the funds from USDA, Department of Agriculture, to start a compost pilot program. Our expected launch date is November 2025. Some accomplishments that we have are our on-call consultant, HDR. They are working on the final revisions of our communications and strategy plan. And we also procured an in-vessel composting unit from Green Mountain Technologies. So that is in production and should be here by the October/November date. We also have our storage sheds that the collection bins will be being placed under. Shanklin's is installed, and we're working on getting it installed at the other 3 large centers. St. Helena, Hilton Head, Shanklin, Bluffton will be the 4 that will be starting the food waste collection at. And then we also have been working with Moondog, is a digital content creation company. They are creating our compost mascot character, and that will be going to Public Facilities and Safety Committee for approval in September. And then a couple of more updates for the compost pilot program. We are locating the pilot program at 120 Shanklin Road. That's where our Public Works campus is currently housed here in Beaufort. We will be applying for a conditionally exempt of a permit, working with DES to get that. So we're working on that application. We'll be submitting it soon. And then the next stages will be site prep, which we'll be able to do in-house with Public Works, establish a concrete pad on site, get our electrical needs for the unit, and then coverings for our unit, our curing piles, and our input storage. So making sure none of the critters get our food waste. So the FY26 budget that we did propose was approved. The CFO and the county administrator had very minimal notes. Really, the only feedback that we got when we were going through that process were just some questions about what each line item was for. So advertising, why do we need this? What is it for? Such things like that. But we did get the full funding that we did request. So excited to move forward with our capital project request and then just continue operations. And reminder, we did transfer into the general fund. So we were an enterprise fund. However, we were never collecting funds in an enterprise manner. So it was best for the department to go back under the general fund. So we are under the general fund and also housed back under Public Works as opposed to kind of a separate entity from them. So some changes with our budget will be fleet will be taking over our vehicles and our capital equipment. So that alleviates a lot of things that we need to do. And now the fleet department will be taking over that, and they will have that part of our budget under their budget. So we still submit our requests for vehicles and our requests for capital equipment, but they assist in procuring it. And we still get them quotes and exactly what we want. But it just kind of takes the middleman, which was us, out of the situation since they were already procuring those items. And then facilities and like general monthly facility bills, so electricity, water, sewer, telephone, those type of things that fall under just kind of general categories have been put into those different places. So like IT, they're covering the cost of our cameras that we're placing at the convenience centers. And then facilities will cover the cost of water and sewer. So some of those just kind of monthly operational things are now not the responsibility of solid waste. So that's really great. We do have a lot of monthly bills, so any bit helps that we can get assistance from our county counterparts. And then I'll kind of move forward, you all. I'm sure I've had a chance to read our updates about upcoming events. Chloe's been working on our grants and getting all of our reporting done. And Valentina is out in the community. She's actually out in Charleston today, gathering information about separating out litter when it's picked up. So initiative she'd like to bring back to Beaufort is to, when the litter crews are out collecting waste, they also recycle what they're getting. So she's out there checking out what they're doing and how they separate that material when they're collecting it. And then she's got some education events coming our way too. She attended the Beaufort Water Festival, and then she's also working on the upcoming Stormwater Awareness Week. And then litter, Mr. Jesus has a lot of great information there. I'm gonna go ahead and go to our appendices. So the last time that we met, Mr. Lawrence Bryant is not here today, but he did mention that the traditional data packet was a bit lengthy. So we did condense this packet that you're used to seeing. It is, though, on SharePoint, and that will be under the supporting documents. So if you do wish to see everything kind of laid out as we typically did in the past, you can still see that. That's there, and that's where we derived these charts from. But as you can see, these should be pretty concrete for our disposal costs, unless something comes up that we aren't aware of. That happens sometimes at fiscal years, of things that go through the loop, especially going through 2 business managers in 1 fiscal year. So this should be our final cost and tonnage for disposal and hauling. But as you can see in Appendix A, that's your disposal cost, and then we're comparing it to fiscal year 24 into fiscal year 25. And for those of you who are around when we first implemented the decal program, we did have an initial decrease in tonnage and we did have an initial decrease in cost. However, now that it's been, 4 years, we're seeing that spike again. More and more people are moving to Beaufort County, people are getting rid of their waste, and our costs are just going up to dispose of all this waste. So that's where we're really kicking in initiatives to hopefully educate the public so we can start decreasing the tonnage that we are paying to dispose of. So these disposal costs are both Hickory Hill Landfill and Oakwood. And then you see our center traffic. As you can see, Hilton Head continues to be one of the busiest centers along with Bluffton. And then all the rural areas do kind of taper out. But we did have some tube counters down throughout the year, and we did put an asterisk next to the locations where the tube counters were down, so we don't really have the full picture. It may have been down for a week or so, but just to give you a heads up and full transparency there. And then moving on to hauling costs, as you can see.
I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
The counters, are they the ones on the road, or are they the clicks that, or scans of people's decals? Which is it?
The tube counters, so those are the ones that are on the road. We
Okay.
did transfer from the clicking, manual clicking to the tube
So when
counters.
people are, when they scan the decals, there's not a way to,
Oh, we track that as well.
okay, because they should sort of match.
Yes, we do.
But
We
sometimes
track
people,
the,
like, if they're just recycling, we don't, they don't.
They come in, well, they hit
Right, so
hit
we
that
pick
and
up
then,
both ways, so we know that
Gotcha.
people that, you kind of compare the two. So basically, if they come into the center and don't get scanned, that means they're probably recycling.
gotcha.
So you kind of separate the two numbers a little bit.
Before you leave it, earlier you talked about the compost pilot program, and we got a USDA grant for that. And you mentioned we've got two different consultants, one Moondog and one HER or somebody?
HDR is our on-call consultant. Moondog is a vendor.
Okay, HDR, are they, or do we pay them every time we call them in for a project? In other words, how much of the consultants' cost of that grant are we using? That
So
piece.
HDR is a task order base. They are our on-call consultant. However, with the grant, part of the funds that we requested were to have HDR create this Comstrat program plan for the program. So within the main grant funds, USDA allotted us $50,000 for HDR to assist us in creating the compost pilot program.
So you still have your base amount to use for your program. It won't change the numbers. It's not coming out of the base number because it's already allotted in there.
Exactly, yes. When we requested the funding from USDA, that was part of us asking for the money. So whatever we receive from the USDA, each grant item is allotted, and a portion of that was allotted to our consultant.
So now we have a consultant that's going to help with that part, and you're going to have a mascot from Moondog or whatever.
Yes, yeah, that's not something that we could have created in-house. So we put out an RFP last fall, and we followed all procurement policies and protocols and selected Moondog as the vendor to create the compost mascot character. They're also going to be creating digital content, so an animated video, and then also educational pamphlet.
Is the Crocs coming out of that fund too?
I'm sorry?
Eventually, you're going to have to give people Crocs, CROCKS. Where is that budget number?
A portion of that is also in the USDA grant.
Okay. So have they been ordered?
We did order one round of compost Crocs for the initial kickoff.
And how many of those did we order?
No, don't have that. If you'd like to
Well,
write that down,
well,
Sally.
You had
But we're
men-
not going to give every resident a compost crock. Like if
Well,
you
you
want to.
mentioned only the people that come to the seminars that Placido does will get the crock. Okay.
Yeah. So we ordered one round. I believe the first round of compost crocks, Chloe, that was with actually a DES grant, correct?
Both, we've ordered two separate, they're both for the DES.
Yeah. So our first round of compost crocks was through the state grant. to initiate the compost collection program. And then within the USDA grant, we also requested funds. I can't recall off the top of my head if I know we have, within the USDA grant, we requested funds to outfit the centers. So that will be our signage. We requested funds to create the mascot compost character. And then we also requested funds for outfitting the centers. So that will be our 90-gallon bins that we're collecting food waste in. Which is per
Like if it's
EPA.
contaminated or alternate
Exactly.
factors.
Yeah, exactly. So still yet to come.
Thank you.
Victoria, 100 crops have been ordered through the FY 25 DES grant.
Okay. Did you hear that? Through the FY25 DS grant, 100 crocs have been ordered. And so we'll be using that first round of compost crocs to kickstart the program. And then if it shows to be successful, we'll continue that either with the DES grant or with the USDA grant funds. I want to say that we requested funds through the USDA grant, but we did write that 2 years ago, so a little foggy on that. Right now, we're really focusing on getting the compost pilot program operational. So right now, our minds are set on getting our conditionally exempt application in to the state, getting our site prep done. We've already received quotes from 3 vendors for our electrical needs and have had Dominion out there to look at the site. So that's our main priority because up until about 2 months ago, maybe 1 month, it was kind of, okay, where can we put this thing? Because our original plan was to partner with a third party, and they decided that they did not want to go forward with composting food waste. And then we had a couple of sites that just didn't work out. So really excited about 120 Shanklin and the fact that we don't need the compost permit. It really alleviates a lot of red tape.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just skim through. If you guys do have any questions on any of the data, just as you can see, costs are going up, tonnage is going up. Dates, they kind of stagger it. Recycling data is due to them in September on the 2nd. Our revenue information is due September 16th. And then our full cost disclosure is due October 1st. And we'll be uploading all of those final documents into SharePoint for you to... He's happy where he's at. So anyway, he's like, I'm not leaving the base. You're crazy. Okay. Any questions on any of that? Yes, sir.
From old business, there was, I thought, a movement stuck in county council. I believe our councilman has stepped away. Nope, there he is. On prohibiting plastic bags. We didn't talk about that last meeting. Is that moving forward? Is it stuck somewhere?
The Keep Beaufort County Beautiful Board chairman and a couple of, I just saw an email go through, that committee will be meeting soon. The person that was heading that up went on maternity leave and she is now back. So I imagine that they'll hit the ground running with that.
Thank you.
Fiscal year 25. Fiscal year 25. The reasoning behind it, I don't recall getting comments. I think that it had to do,
Well,
2 years ago, what happened?
yeah, solid waste recycling, long story short, I think the reason that the enterprise fund was created, they were trying to do a fee early on, billings for the year for hauling. So, and with that said, and talking and getting some information background from our CFO, actually, it's really against general, to council for them to approve. And then we're just like the general fund, just like our solid waste recycling is part of Public Works Department General Fund.
Got it. Okay. And they approve it.
And I'm
with
sure
the
if you
rest
have
of
any
the
more
budget.
detailed question, if you want some more detailed questions on that, Victoria can get you a contact, I'm sure, to the CFO that can really get into the weeds of that.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the color.
Usually I separate out what it costs for us to recycle and how much revenue that we're getting. And we really are very happy with the new services. Just for an example, when we were working with our last vendor, just the net recycling cost was $100,000 a month for last July, and we didn't receive a rebate. That's with the rebate removed from that cost. So that was the hauling cost, the processing costs. It was an old manual tie baler. So it was just manual tie baler. So it was just really labor intensive. So we discontinued that. You are seeing less revenue from that stream, but because of the cost in continuing with that, especially having a superintendent have to do it, it's really on the back end decreased.
Yeah, yeah.
Our
That's,
costs.
that's I2C you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Cool.
And then you're also seeing a bit of a change from last year in our bulky metals. We discontinued the vendor that we had been using for 15 plus years, had that new RFP out and selected a local vendor, and very happy with them. And you're seeing those two. It is one company, but they have two locations. So all of our materials from the south side, Bluffton and Hilton Head, are going to their Hardyville location. And then our north side centers are going to the Beaufort location. So that's why you're seeing those two revenue checks. And we're really happy with that service too. We don't have this big junkyard behind Shanklin, if that's the one that you're using. And we're also getting them picked up more regularly, and we're getting revenue checks more regularly as opposed to quarterly. So really excited and happy with the changes that we've made and this year, and happy to move forward into FY26. Any questions?
I have a couple
Yes, ma'am.
questions for you, just real quick. Sorry, I'm new, so if you can help me out here.
Of course.
Number one, do we bale our plastic?
We do not. So all of our materials that we collect at the center, we don't touch them. We pay I2 to haul and process them. So we do not bale anything at the centers. It is something that we've thought about and proposed. However, we're still dealing with contamination.
That's
at
my
the
next
centers.
question.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, baling plastic, obviously, we're gonna eliminate a lot of negative space when we're hauling, so it might behoove us. I owned a recycling company for 10 years, so I baled my plastics. That might help with the hauling costs. And my question was with contamination. So I live on Hilton Head. We have you go in, the recycles in the front, and you go in for the, I guess, more, MSW. And I put my cardboard in and it's being compacted.
Mhm.
So therefore, we wouldn't need to bale that because it's already being compacted. However, my question is, how much contamination do we have with those loads when you consider there might be styrofoam in there or what have you? So what's the percentage of contamination when it comes to
Yeah,
this?
great question. So I wish Mike were here, and he does send monthly reports on our contamination. And fortunately, we have decreased our contamination. He said we're in the 3 to 4% range, which is really great.
Wow.
Because it's source separated. So if we were to go back to single stream, it would be a lot higher. But when we did initially kick off, we had a lot of contamination, especially in the cardboard, with exactly those things. So that prompted our education campaign. So now on our bins, we have very clear signage. So it is something that we have talked about of compacting prior to hauling because of our hauling costs, especially plastic. You're literally hauling air.
I know.
But it's something that we have definitely considered. It's definitely something that is still potentially on the table as long as we can really ensure that the residents can't contaminate. I mean, we've even thought about putting the slots to make it slower. So like you can't put a big Lowe's bucket into our plastic container because that's not what we're wanting, but then it will slow the process at the centers down if, people. So we're definitely open to suggestions because we do see that hauling is just,
Yeah, I think
if I ever start a business,
Yeah, in the case of plastic, it might be best
you're like, don't do it.
in the long run. And especially because our vendor is actually paying us for plastic, which is just about unheard of.
Yeah.
So to really maximize that, I think would be incredible. Because what is our plastic right now? 7.5 cents a pound, I think, on average, which is almost up there with tin or steel, which is really great. Question, what is this 75-25 split with the IR recycling?
I too.
I too, sorry.
Yes, I too. So that is at their percentage. So whenever he does sell the materials, we get the 75 and he gets the other percentage.
Okay. Wish we could get 100% of that because he's making money too.
Yeah.
Another question, especially when it comes to recycling, what are we doing with batteries in the case of like lead acid, lithium ion, something like that?
Yes.
I don't think we have that at Hilton Head. I haven't noticed like
We do.
pallets. Oh, we do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We collect and recycle those batteries. There is an area that you can place them at in the HHW area. Unfortunately, after people recycle them, they never make it to our facilities. So that's something that we do have an issue with is scavenging at our centers. So we collect them, we receive them. However, we have had issues with that. So we're hoping with these new security cameras or live action feed, we can hopefully mitigate those problems, but we have definitely had a lot of issues, especially at our Shanklin Center. I mean, we've had people use bolt cutters and cut our
Yeah,
fencing
because
and
you're making good money off of that,
yeah,
especially lead
exactly.
acid.
Exactly. Yeah. The
Mhm.
batteries, we accept and collect them and we have a vendor that will recycle them for us. However, they're never there when we get them,
Interesting.
unfortunately. Yeah.
They disappear.
Well, the
They
lithium
disappear,
is
yeah.
becoming a problem because people know they can't get rid of the lithium.
Hmm.
Like, we don't technically take the ion lithium.
Lithium ion, you do not?
We do.
We do, but people think that they're, let me back up. People
They
think. that
think
they're-
we don't.
They think we don't. So they just throw them in the trash and then,
Okay.
and then we have to go put out the fire department to put out fires.
Thank you, because yeah, those swell up and they will cause a massive fire.
Yeah.
There was an e-waste recycling facility in Minnesota a few years ago. I think it was 30,000 square feet, massive e-waste facility that caught fire one night because one swelled up so bad. I used to accept them and we'd have to wrap them in tape and such and then dispose of them. Yeah, so that's like an education thing too, but that's, you know,
Yeah.
it's a significant amount of revenue is like lithium ion, lead acid, those types of things.
Yeah, unfortunately, other people know that too. And so that is why we're getting those security cameras, but also for safety of residents and convenience center attendants. But yeah, batteries is something that we do accept.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we also have had those fires. We've actually had more fires this year than we've ever seen
It's terrible.
out of a 15-year solid waste track. So it's, yeah, we just recently had one last Monday, right before I left for,
Yes.
yeah.
So
so it is, and we are just continuing education. So we are working with our safety training manager and putting up signage, hopefully everywhere, more signage. I know there's a lot of signs out there already, but it's kind of what else can we do? Use Valentina, educate the residents, and then just put more signage at the
And then
centers.
at the,
You did mention last meeting, to that point of when we get to the automatic gate, taking the personnel and placing a individual who works for the county, instead of just sitting there scanning decals, he can help people and probably prevent some of that contamination at the source where people are dumping.
that's what we have in Hilton Head. So in Hilton Head, we don't have, you know, Beaufort County trash. So either we have to pay a third party on our own or we go to the convenience center. So I'm at the convenience center a lot and the individuals that work there are fantastic. When I first moved there and I had some cardboard and there was a little bit of styrofoam, she's like, absolutely not. No. So I was like, okay. So I was very impressed with that. So that's why I was wondering about the contamination. It's probably the 3% is probably due to how well trained they are.
Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, I think, and then it comes to kind of training of staff like on site
Mhm.
with that as well. I have one more question, kind of deviation. Tires, we accept tires?
Yes, ma'am.
And obviously not, we're not getting paid for that.
No.
No, I know. Trust me, it's like TVs. Do we have a tire shredder?
We do not, and that's another thing that we have also looked into.
Very important. Yeah.
Is shredding those tires. And currently we're working on getting another tire storage facility because we have one here in Beaufort. But a lot of the tires are coming from Bluffton and Hilton Head.
Yep.
So that'll alleviate a lot of the transportation that we're currently doing because our technicians they have like a tire hauler permit from the state to be able to transport those tires. And then we have a storage facility permit. But that is something also we've looked into, is getting that tire shredder to hopefully decrease the amount in hauling costs. 'Cause
It's going to
that-
mitigate our hauling costs, and it's also going to mitigate the amount of material in the landfill. Because the problem with tires is they end up floating to the top. And it's just creates a lot of negative space. So to be able to shred them, I think would be a really huge benefit.
Yeah, well, they're not allowed in the landfill in South Carolina. They do have a tire
In
ban.
New Mexico, we put them
Yeah.
in there, sorry.
No, we don't do it over here in South Carolina.
Where do you
No,
take
they're-
them? Where'd
Yeah,
they go?
so we have a vendor and they take them to a tire processing facility. So
Okay,
Yeah, so we
but at least it would mitigate our hauling costs.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can definitely mitigate them by having a tire
See
shredder.
whether
So, really great point.
cost offsets.
Well, if you look at our hauling costs, that's the majority of,
Mhm. And you're not, and when the tire hauling,
Personnel typically is your biggest nut. So if you're going to start hiring more people to operate shredders, it can be a wash.
I had my own employees do it, so
Oh.
they're very simple,
you just
mechanisms.
push a
Yes.
button.
I use them. Okay, I think, sorry, I'm so new.
No, you're fine.
One more question, I'm so sorry. The professional services, you mentioned the e-waste vendor, and I know
Yeah.
that we were doing like pilot e-waste
Mhm.
recycling. However, that's gonna be more of a permanent thing at each of the locations. So that e-waste vendor, are we still gonna be paying them as much?
So, the first question, no, we're not gonna be paying them this much. So, in the past, their purchase order amount was around $100,000. And that was for them to host
Mhm.
our e-waste collection events, quarterly events that we would hold both in Beaufort and in Bluffton. So recently you've seen, we are, encouraging residents to use our new scheduling system where they can schedule to come and drop off your e-waste. And so with doing so, we're now discontinuing the quarterly event in Beaufort. So this will be our last fiscal year that we're offering that quarterly e-waste collection event. We're only offering it in Bluffton. So already that purchase order, already I submitted it this year, it's cut in half. So instead of $100,000, around $50,000, and expect to not even use that whole purchase order. So already we're decreasing that cost, and also decreasing staff time to be there on the weekends and helping load up. So this will be the last fiscal year that we're using that vendor for the hosting of the e-waste collection events. And then all of the e-waste collection will be to schedule it to be able to drop it off, because that's another thing. We don't want them to be ended up in our MSW waste, and also we don't want to have to touch it a bunch of times. So having that scheduled time where you're either coming to this location in Beaufort and this location in Bluffton also alleviates our transportation internally. So we're not having to move everything to one location. So once we get a full semi load, which at each location it's a half, they come pick it up and it's all free, and we actually get a rebate back as opposed to paying.
There's a lot of money in e-waste. So when it comes to, and I like the idea, it's gonna be semis and it's gonna be palletized and such. Are you gonna have your staff kind of trained to
Oh, yeah.
palletize printer, like a pallet of printers, a pallet of CPUs, a pallet of that type of thing?
Yes, ma'am. So whenever we worked with our vendor in transferring over to this, they came out, they're a really great powerhouse. They came and trained our personnel and our staff. So that's something that we're already doing, is separating out each individual e-waste item, because that's how they want it picked up.
That's how I did it,
Yeah. So yeah, we already are starting off, and it's, yeah, they supply us with the
So like
materials.
shrink wrap and pallets and tape and everything?
Yeah, they supply us with
Good.
everything. They trained us, so that whenever we did kick off into this endeavor, and actually, not to toot our own horn, but the state was really excited when we told them about how we're going to kind of tiptoe into discontinuing the events, into having this drop-off program. So now we're the pilot program for the state, and we're taking that information in, taking great notes, and then issuing that to the state, then hopefully train others and teach others in the state of South Carolina that what we did, what worked for us, trials and tribulations. So really excited about that, kind of being the forefront of this initiative, because a lot of people, when they first rolled out the initiative, I can't think of what the terminology right now is, they were kind of hesitant, because I don't know if y'all have heard it before, but we've always done it this way. So they're really excited that someone's kind of branching off and saying, okay, like, what can we do differently?
I do want to.
And it's been successful. We've had a lot of people use our scheduling and drop
I
off
was going to
e-waste.
ask about the volume of his scheduling, which is now only in Shanklin.
That's, no,
Where else can
no,
you?
it's Beaufort and Bluffton.
So where do you go? Is it on Ulmer? In other words, I can call
Shows
and
go online. If you go online and look at this, it'll, you can do either.
either or, either or.
Beaufort and Bluffton.
Okay.
And it's been a packed house every week. We've had all of our spots filled, so
That's what I was getting
it's
at.
been really successful.
Percentage on those, there's a few people that back out that
Yeah.
don't show up, but it's not
Sure.
big,
Mhm.
but there is some.
Yep, it's been very successful. We're excited.
There's one very, very important aspect that I want you guys to consider when it does come to e-waste. Let's say I'm getting rid of my laptop. It contains a hard drive, which has all of my personal information. So what is your e-waste vendor planning on doing with them?
So we encourage residents to wipe all of that prior to giving it to us. So it takes
Not gonna happen.
that's in our clause. However, if you do go to Powerhouse website, they are a verified and certified vendor. So they do discard all of that sensitive information, and they guarantee and vet their process that, you won't. Of course, not everybody that is employed can be trusted. So I'm sure it has happened. But that's why we really encourage people. I mean, I've got a computer at my house that I've had since I lived in Japan 12 years ago. No, 15. How long have I been married? And my husband refuses to get rid of it because he can't wipe it. So I get it. I'm telling you, I get rid of my stuff because I'm like, they'll be fine. Hopefully they'll pay my student loans off. But it is something that we encourage residents to do first, just to alleviate that issue. But I do know that it's definitely a concern with people getting rid of e-waste. And of course, you never know the hands that it gets into. So, but they are vetted. Powerhouse is a really reputable company in based out of North
That
Carolina.
could be a great project for Valentina for education.
I think she's really busy already.
We'll get her out of the stormwater.
She's not here to take up for herself.
We'll
I'm
get
gonna
her out of the
say,
stormwater business and she can take care of the e-waste.
yeah. All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have to do that. Oh, I would like to introduce the new board members. Didn't we do that in introductions? Okay, would you like to come and introduce yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, well,
I'm Megan, I own a recycling company.
really excited for our new board members. I already spoke with Miss Megan Fitzpatrick, kind of gave her a rundown. This is solid waste. Mr. Songer, I hear that you're on a luxurious vacation and you weren't able to make it, but introducing him as well. I believe both of you reside in Hilton Head. However, you are representing other districts. So thank you so much for being on the board. We're happy to have a quorum. So it's been a while. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Yeah. Look forward to working with you. And I'm on a business trip in Richmond. It's very exciting. Very exciting.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead and start our staff reports. Okay.
We'll let Jesus.
Okay. Wrap up and good. Do you have any public comment? No? We're good?
It's time.
All right. So now, yes, we will move to adjourn our solid waste and recycling meeting.
Move that we adjourn.
I second.
Meeting is adjourned. Yeah.
All right.